Super excited to be here tonight. I love our local chapters and I love the idea of networking and what we can all do together. Really appreciate all of you tuning in this evening to really kick off sort of our end of year celebration, but also to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is networking. And so we're going to make this interactive tonight. We're going to have some fun tonight. There's quite a few things that we're going to talk through and share. A little agenda. I'm going to do a little looking back of 2022, share some of the highlights of 2022 because we've had some really exciting things. We are also going to announce our chapter of the year, which is really exciting. We're going to be doing what I'm calling a mini power networking workshop, where we're going to talk through a power networking model that helps you become better at networking. And then we're also going to have an opportunity at the end to go into small breakout rooms and actually interact and talk to each other and meet new people. So I do like to make things action oriented. If you want to, grab pen and paper, because there are going to be some things as we talk about networking that I'm going to ask you to write down for your own use, not to share with anybody here. You can share in the chat if you want to, but really to allow you to take action and start working on the things we're going to be talking about. Also, as I do love interaction, definitely pop things in the chat as you feel. If you want to share in the chat, ask questions in the chat. Chat is open, and we always love hearing your input, your questions, etc. Before we dive into introductions, so something that we do at all of our events is called the Share Your Ask, and I'm going to pop a link in the chat. I actually have a special link for us tonight. And this is our Share Your Ask form. So the Share Your Ask is an opportunity for you to share your contact information. So share your name, email address, LinkedIn profile, etc., but also an ask in the audience. We want to know, how can we support you right now? What do you need help with? Where are you having challenges? That will all be covered in the Share Your Ask. So I popped that link in the chat. We'll continue to talk about the Share Your Ask a few times tonight, and we'll share it a few times. I also will email it out after this session. So if you don't grab it from the chat, but the sooner you submit it, the better, just so that we make sure the information gets in there. And so I'm sharing it early so that we make sure everyone has a chance in case you have to drop off early or you miss the link at any point. So definitely share your ask. That's the key to connecting with everyone. I know I see some LinkedIn profiles in the chat. Make sure you get those in the Share Your Ask, because that's what we will share with everybody who's here on the call tonight. I want to take a moment to introduce myself for those of you. I know I've met so many of you, but also my team who's here tonight. My name is Megan Bozzuto. I'm the president of the International Association. I love serving this community and showing up in a place where I can lead other women and support other women. But more importantly, I have this amazing team who helps to drive all the work we do behind the scenes to make IAW a powerful community. And I'm honored and so thrilled to work alongside with this whole team every single day. I'm really proud of the work that we all do together. So I know many of you are on tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up every day and supporting me and this community. I adore working with all of you. It's fun, but it's also just amazing to see us all come together and support each other, but also the community. So thank you to my IAW team. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about local chapters. If you're a part of a leadership team, I'd love you to pop in the chat and let us know what team you're a part of. So our local chapters are spread throughout the US, but we also now have a chapter in London, as well as a global chapter that operates virtually. Local chapters are what used to be our in-person networking opportunity. During COVID, we shifted all of that to virtual, but local chapters are powered by this team of incredible women who serve the community locally to help build our events and to help create opportunities in those specific locations. So I want to thank you. I see many of you in the chat now sharing where you're from and what positions you hold. Thank you from me. Thank you from all of us. I know that the work you do is incredibly, incredibly valuable, and we're so supportive of each and every one of you. I always like to make a plug. If you're interested, if you're not a part of leadership, you're interested in getting more involved or supporting at the local level, let us know, reach out to us. We're always looking for more people to support the efforts locally. It's been an exciting year as we figured out how to navigate back to in-person networking events. And we kicked off over the summer. One of our highlights was our summer road trip, where Katie and I went and visited 9 of our local chapters across the US. And so after years, it felt, I guess it was 2 years, but it felt like a really long time of being entirely remote. We went to New York, Memphis, Washington, D.C., Kansas City, Dallas, Chicago, San Diego, and Los Angeles, and had these amazing in-person connections. It was so fun. It was an amazing experience. Also, Philadelphia was supposed to happen over the summer. It got postponed. I'm heading there this weekend for our rescheduled event, which I'm truly excited about. So as we look at the in-person, I'd love to see in the chat, how's everyone feel about going back in person? Are we excited about it? Is it overwhelming? How's the networking landscape shifting for you? Most of our chapters will be in person in Q1 of next year, but we always hold space virtually. We always have opportunities online. So if you can't make it in person, or if there's not a chapter where you are, we have virtual opportunities as well. The other highlight of 2022, oh, look, we've got a lot of excitement about being back in person. Love it. So the other highlight of 2022 was our Inspirational Influencer Gala and Awards, which we hosted in Las Vegas this past October. If you were there, virtually or in person, it was such just a powerful, incredible weekend. I saw so many connections being made, and it was fun, but it was also super empowering. We had Randy Zuckerberg for our VIP morning breakfast. She was incredible. We had Tunde Onion for our keynote that evening. Amazing, amazing woman in story. Watched as all these new connections and collaborations were made. We also awarded 13 women with our Inspirational Influencer Awards. And it was just really fun being there to celebrate all of their success and see it all come to life in person. So that's the reflection of 2022. We had a lot of powerful things happen virtually as well. And I'm really excited as we head to a new year of what it's going to look like as we still maintain some virtual opportunities, but also have a focus of getting our chapters back in person. I'm going to hand this over to Katie now so that she can talk about our chapter of the year.
At IAW, it's important for us to recognize all of our chapter leaders. Without the support of our volunteer leaders around the globe, the work we do would not be possible. Each year, we want to highlight a chapter that exemplifies the values and mission of IAW. Our chapter of the year celebrates a chapter built around a shared desire to support other women wherever they are in their professional journey. Congratulations to our San Diego chapter as our 2022 chapter of the year. Led by chapter president Rachel Sollenberger, San Diego has successfully navigated the post-pandemic landscape to return to in-person events, which grow in size every month. And they are taking a proactive approach to supporting their community through their outreach to the large military population in San Diego. Each of their leadership team members shows up in a selfless, others-first way. So it's no surprise that they're quickly becoming the room everybody wants to be in. Congratulations, Rachel and the team in San Diego.
I want to take a moment to pass along my congratulations as well. We had the opportunity to be in person with the San Diego team over the summer, and they're doing amazing things in San Diego. And it's really been great to watch it and be a part of it. So thank you to all of you. We're gonna shift into talking about power networking. Before we do that, I want to share something with you. If you were at the gala in Las Vegas, you probably saw these floating around. We've partnered with Nectar, and this is a really fun product. If you love bath bombs and soaps and hand lotions, if you're looking for a fun holiday gift, I highly recommend you check these out. They smell amazing. My kids love this stuff. But we have this special code of women15 that you can save 15% on your order. And we talked about it when we were in Las Vegas, and I just wanted to make sure I mentioned it because I know a lot of us are finishing up holiday shopping and looking for some fun, unique things. And this has been a very big hit in my house. This is just one example of their products. This is the whipped soap. It's fruit smoothie, but it smells really, really good. So a fun little product for you there. Now, on a personal level, this was a really big year for me. And I it's funny, I find I spend a lot of time encouraging women to share their own successes and to talk about the things that they do. And then I don't do it for myself. And so I'm gonna practice what I preach a little bit, because there's things that we accomplish that sometimes we don't share and we don't shout out loud. And for me, one of the big things that we accomplished was writing this book. I had a lot of challenges this year as well. It was a really hard year for me, but this book is something I feel really proud about. And I want to share a little bit about how it came to be. I don't know if you've ever had those goals in your head where they kind of live in the back of your head and there's a lot of self-doubt and this like, well, I want to do that, but can I really do that? It doesn't matter. And years ago, writing a book was one of those ideas. It was one of those goals that lived in the back of my head, but I didn't give it a lot of space. I never said, okay, this is the year it's going to happen. And it kind of felt overwhelming. So I didn't pay much attention to it. Well, one day I told Katie about my idea to write a book, and her response was, that's great, let's write a book. And so here's the book. Putting the Power in Your Network was published earlier this year, and I'm really proud of this. It was a fun project to work with Katie on. We learned a lot about writing books and about planning things. But tonight we're going to have a conversation about the book, but more importantly, guide you through the steps and networking and how you can show up at networking events like this or in person to get the results that you want. And as I said before, I love to make things action oriented. So definitely there'll be moments where we'll ask you to write some things down. It doesn't have to be in the chat. It can be your own little notebook that nobody has to see. But I do like to give homework as we go through this. To kick off our conversation about networking, I have found a lot of people when I say, hey, there's a networking event, they kind of go, oh, no, I can't do that. So I want to know, and you can put this in the chat. This I want to know. How do you feel about networking? Are you excited about it? Are you kind of indifferent? Do you feel like you just don't have the time for it? Or do you find it super awkward? I find that a lot of people relate to some of these icky feelings. And I was there. I used to live in that space of I hated it. And then I moved something like 5 times in 6 years and spent times in different countries and different cities. And it kind of pushed me outside of my comfort zone to figure out how to show up in a place where I felt really good about it. And so what I want to talk about is the idea of the frustration or the thought that, oh, I don't have the time for it, or I don't feel like it's working for me. Because a lot of people, they get frustrated because they spend time networking, but they're not necessarily in the right places. And when we're not in the right place with the right goals, we're not getting the value that we need out of it. So then you start to either fear putting yourself out there, or you start to just feel like it's not worth the time. And so tonight we're going to talk about building relationships that are going to help power your results. And our goal is for you to get more comfortable with networking so that you stop wasting time, stop spending time in the wrong places, but really start building valuable relationships that are going to help move you forward. To start, I want to start with just basic definitions. So level set professional networking and what it means to you. And so I have a definition here. Professional networking is when you build relationships with other professionals, both in your field or industry and in other related fields. Networking allows you to foster relationships with others that are mutually beneficial to the careers of you and those in your network. I love this definition because I feel like it encompasses everything that I envision with networking. It's not just swapping business cards, right? It's not gathering thousands of connections on social media. It's not feeling uncomfortable when you walk into a crowded room of people. When you do it correctly, it's building relationships with other people. It's being able to show up authentically and feel good about yourself and create relationships that are going to be mutually beneficial. and connections that are going to help you move forward with your goals.
So the power networking model is about finding the right people in the right rooms. It's about, like Megan said, showing up authentically, engaging consistently, and generating positive results for yourself and others. We created the power model to help guide people, especially women, through a networking process tied to goals and results. So often we find women networking because someone told them that's what they needed to do to generate business or to get ahead in their careers, but no one ever really taught them how. And so they network by using ineffective habits they collected along the way, failing to generate the results they truly desire. If you've ever found yourself unsure of how to network, not confident in what to say, or feeling unfulfilled by the lack of results, then our book and the power model are for you. Tonight, we'll introduce you to the power model and how you can apply it to your journey to generate better results, stronger relationships, and more overall opportunities.
So the power model starts with purpose. And we felt like purpose was the best starting point. Katie, can you talk through a little bit why we felt like purpose was the best starting point?
Yeah, so when I think about a starting point for networking, the first piece that really comes to mind for me is personal alignment. I don't think you can get the results you want if you're not in a healthy place with yourself and why you want the results. To be really clear, this doesn't mean you have to have it all figured out and be living your best life with no hiccups to successfully network. We break purpose down into 4 chapters, and what I really love about the structure is those 4 chapters are ready to meet any one person wherever they are at any point in their journey. Megan, I think about how life has changed a lot for you lately, and these 4 chapters still give you a framework for successful networking. How are you using the framework in your life now?
So I'll start here by saying Katie and I are very close, and she kind of knows everything I've been through in 2022. And it's been from a personal perspective, it's been a very challenging year and has pushed me into really diving deep into what is my why and why am I showing up here? How am I showing up at home? How am I showing up professionally? 2022 shifted my perspective on a lot of things. So back in January, my husband and I separated after 15 years of marriage. And I know many of you in relationships, you'll understand. I've connected with a lot of people over this year that have been through very similar times. But with the separation, I found that I really had to find the time and space to focus on me. My mental health had to become a priority, because here I was in this separation where I was not with my kids every day. He had the kids half of the time, which was massively challenging for me. But I didn't have the capacity and the space to always show up as a leader in this community. I had to find the time to really figure out, what do I value from relationships? What do I value with my time? And who am I spending time with? Where am I spending time? What spaces are going to best support me? We recently decided that the marriage cannot be saved. We're now navigating divorce. And so this shifts my entire why, right? Previously, I was showing up in a space where I was married and I had a spouse with alignment in goals where we were working together to build a family, and I supported his career, he supported my career. This has changed now, because while we still co-parent and while we still show up together, and I will forever support the co-parenting relationship, my why has shifted because I don't have that spouse to lean on, right? I don't have somebody that's in my corner every single day. And my kids will come first. My kids will be, I have 3 young kids. They're 13, 11, and 8. And so I now have the perspective of being a single mom and figuring out from a career perspective, what makes most sense for me at this point in time. I will tell you, what makes most sense for me is continuing to be a part of this community, because this was a challenging year, but this community has supported me tremendously. Even if you didn't know you were supporting me, you were supporting me. Even tonight is my kids' first night at their dad's house. We were sharing living arrangements up until this week. Tonight is their very first night at their dad's house. There's a lot of emotion there, but look at this. I'm surrounded by so many amazing people, and this is what truly uplifts me. So kind of the long-winded answer, like this year, I really needed to show up in a way that was true to me and my personal brand. Life I talk a lot about fitting in this little box on Zoom, right? I show up a lot in the virtual space, and what you see is a very clean picture. And you don't always see the kids running around and the dog barking and the marriage falling apart. And life's not always going to fit inside this nice little box. I think we have to show up in a space where we can be authentic and we can feel supported. And to make sure that your brand aligns with who you want to be. So, as I said, we're going to do some work tonight. And so I want you to grab that pen and paper. By the way, I'm watching the chat as I'm talking, and thank you for the support. It's challenging to put myself out there personally, but I also know that that's when we make true connections. And when I feel like there's a giant hug coming my way from all of you, and that's what it means so much. So I appreciate it. But I want you to think for a minute about how you show up in the world, and whether your day is messy or not, how are you showing up? Write down 3 to 5 words that describe you, and think for a minute, do those words align with how you're received by others? And so I'm going to pause there for a minute. I'm going to repeat that. Think about how you show up in the world, write down 3 to 5 words that describe you, and then do those words align with how you're received by others? And we'll pause for a minute so that you can do that. I'm going to put this in the chat. I see that question here. I'll get these questions in the chat. And if anyone wants to, I see. Okay, I see some in the chat. So if you do want to share in the chat, you are welcome to share in the chat. This is a very open, safe space. We love seeing and knowing how you feel, but I know not everybody wants to share that. So, and as you're writing that, I also want to, if you don't see Tracy on your screen, you got to see her. She's wearing her IAW t-shirt tonight, and I love it. Yay! All right, Katie, let me know when you're ready to move on to the next one.
I'm ready.
Okay, so we're going to move on to opportunity next.
So one of the things we do in the book is share what we call hard truths. And this was a really important element to me because I think sometimes people sugarcoat things when we just need to hear it exactly how it is so we can make the best decisions for ourselves. A hard truth we share in the opportunity section is all networking is not created equal. Sometimes you're not getting results because you have not placed yourself in the right room with the right people. So Megan, as we think about networking opportunities, what are the things you look for when you're considering networking opportunities?
So for me, I kind of look at it as like the right room with the right people equals value, and value is what you define for yourself. It's not what somebody else defines for you. I often approach most things I do with a goal mindset. So I think about, well, what am I trying to achieve here? So sometimes I just need to be surrounded by really amazing people who are going to lift me up and make me feel good about what I'm doing. Other times I'm looking for more strategic connections or people that might buy my product or become a member of IAW, or there might be a great referral. Think about what your goal is. What do you want to achieve? And how do you make sure that you're investing in the right opportunities? The opportunity being the room that you're in that's going to help you achieve that goal. We talk about different types of networking events. And I think that with COVID, we saw a lot of new, unique opportunities pop up in the virtual space. And so you can get trapped in a Facebook group, right? Trapped might be the wrong word, but like you can end up spending so much time in a Facebook group where things can get drama or not necessarily productive, what serves your interest? Do you feel good about the experience you're having? So whether you're spending time in a room physically or in a virtual space, how do you feel when you walk away? And do you feel like your goals have been met? Do you feel like you're getting the value you need to be able to move forward with things? So a few things that we talk about in the book that come to mind when I think about the spaces I want to show up in. Can I openly contribute? Do I feel like my voice is going to be welcome? Do I feel like there's people with similar goals? Do I walk away feeling like I enjoyed myself? Did I have fun? Did I meet new people? Is it a group where I feel like I could jump in and help lead? Do I feel like I could play a role in the development in the group? Is it a group where I feel like other people are invited in? Because for me, I love the idea of spaces where we can invite in and where we're collaborative. Often when I'm in a room, I'm the person, if somebody walks in and it feels like they don't know anyone else, I'm the one who's going to walk over and say, hi, welcome, how can we help you? Or tell me about yourself, or let's introduce you. Like, I've been that person walking in a room where I didn't know anybody and it's so overwhelming. And so I look for spaces where it's not groups that are going to create that space. It's groups that are open and feel supportive. In the virtual space, I'm going to share one story here because this happened to me during the pandemic. I found some Facebook groups that were really helpful to help with homeschooling my kids, to help with navigating my marriage and divorce, to help with things with leadership. And I ended up in a group that was Boston. I live in the Boston area. It was a Boston-based group. I don't remember the name of it. I've since left the group, but one day, like, something popped up in my feed, and it was somebody in the group that was looking for other people in the group to contribute to their weekend bachelorette party. And I thought, wow, I don't know these people. And this doesn't feel like I thought I was signing up for like meeting people in Boston and having like professional conversations, and to get this thing in my feed of, hey, we're having a party this weekend, can you help fund it? Here's my Venmo. I just thought, wow, this doesn't feel like a place that it might serve somebody else's needs, and that's great. There were a lot of people in the group. There are a lot of people supporting. It's just not what I was looking for at that point in time. So I left the group. It's okay to leave if you're not in the right place. So now we're going to do our little work. And I'll put this in the chat after I talk through it. Make a list of places where you currently choose to do networking. This can be in person or online. Think about how those spaces are serving your existing needs and how you feel about the experience. And I think that the feeling about the experience becomes really important, because if you feel like you're wasting your time, or you feel like you're not getting something out of it, or there's any kind of icky feeling, those are things to pay attention to. So I'll pause here for a moment. I put this in the chat as well, but think about how your current networking is serving your needs. And again, if you want to share in the chat, you're welcome to share in the chat. You're always welcome to share in the chat. All right. And we are recording this, and you'll get these notes as well. So if you haven't written everything down, that's okay. I'm going to move on to our next letter, which is our W, which is worth. And worth is one of my favorite topics, because I think self-worth is a really tricky thing. And so often we get in our own way of valuing our own self-worth. And in the book, we talk about the value of ourselves but mostly the value of our time. And I'm gonna let Katie talk to this, because I think Katie does this really well in the way she values her time and where she spends her time. So Katie, when it comes to networking events, how do we value ourselves and our time so that we're strategic about what we're getting about each opportunity?
So this is something that I'm really mindful of because I'm involved in running 2 businesses. So I have to make sure that every interaction, location, venue, drive time, time spent, all the things, I have to make sure that that's intentional. So this means I'm very open with people. They can have time on my calendar, but it might have to be on Zoom to fit with all of my other priorities. It doesn't mean that they are less important to me. It simply means for me to support Jameson Perry, IAW, being a mom, and hopefully caring for myself a little bit, that 30 minutes of drive time each way, plus the extra 20 minutes coffee appointments always seem to run over, just isn't always in the cards for me right now. And it's okay to set parameters on what works for your priorities. Another method I use to manage my time effectively is reflecting on my work and considering if the work that I'm doing is worth $10, $100, or $1,000 an hour. If my time is worth $1,000 an hour, I should be delegating or automating those $10 and $100 an hour tasks. So placing boundaries in my relationships creates space for me to give people my undivided attention, which in turn can actually make me more valuable to the people I'm working with. So how do you apply this in your life? You have your pen and paper. So I want you to make a list of the top 10 to 20 things that take up most of your time. I'll give you a minute to do that. Give you about 10 more seconds. All right, so I have 2 very important questions. You should keep these questions near and dear, even following this event. As you look at those top 10 to 20 things that take up most of your time, I want you to ask yourself, are they all necessary activities? Are you looking at your list, finding that there's things that maybe aren't necessary? So then the second and very important question is, are you necessary for all the activities? So if you start there and you have that list, you can start building a list of things you can start saying no to, things that you can automate, delegate, just simply get rid of. That's a perfect way anytime you feel overwhelmed in your life to start creating a list of things to say no to.
And learning to say no can be challenging, but once you learn to say no, it becomes very powerful and helps you to prioritize what's really important. So now we're going to move on to engage.
Okay, so if you guys walk away with nothing else today, I want you to walk away understanding that networking is the long game. It is a 2-way street where you have to add value if you want to receive value. So Megan, can you tell us what that potentially looks like?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that are really important here. I want to start with, I know authenticity is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but when you think about it, when you're authentic, when you can show up and just be yourself and offer what you can offer at that point in time, that's what's going to be most valuable for somebody else. So don't stretch things, don't over deliver on things that you can't deliver. Next is being, consistent, or maybe it's timely, but following up soon after meeting somebody and doing those things that you say you're going to do. So doing the follow-up, and follow-up is something we talk about a lot in the book, and give specific examples of how, even the drafted emails to help you follow up with somebody. Because sometimes that's the part where we get stuck, right? We don't do it right away, and then a week goes by, and then 2 weeks goes by, and the right time to follow up is what works for you. I like to give the guidance of following up within 24 hours because that's when you're still top of mind. But I recently had somebody reach out to me 3 or 4 weeks after attending an event, and guess what? It was perfectly fine. I was happy to hear from the person, and I was glad they reached out. So I think that, first of all, it's the being authentic and providing things that you know you can provide, providing things that you feel good about, but then the follow-up. Now, in terms of adding value, because when you can add value to somebody else's life, or do something that makes something easier for somebody else, that's when they're going to remember you, and that's when they're going to trust you, and that's where it becomes more than just a one-to-one where, like, we met and we connected on LinkedIn and then that was it. If I provide you value, then the next time I have an ask for you, you're going to remember me as somebody who helped you, so you're going to be able to help me, and it kind of spreads. And so I think that adding value is where I see a lot of people get stuck, because they're like, well, what does that mean, right? How can I add value to somebody else? And so it doesn't necessarily mean that you're passing a hard referral or making a purchase from somebody. It can be making a recommendation. It can be sharing a resource. It can be anything where you're using what you know and what you do to help enrich somebody's lives. You have to figure out what value is for that other person, and deliver on that value. So as I said, it's more than just sending a LinkedIn request or dropping a business card, but it's really serving somebody with something that's going to help them. So some specific examples of things that I do. I love to share news articles or book recommendations. A lot of times I'll do this on LinkedIn. If I see an article, I'll actually go tag people in the comments and kind of start a little conversation. And that has other benefits on social media than just tagging that one person, right? It's a good reminder point to that one person, but the way the social media algorithms work, it also gets everybody else's attention. So we're covering multiple things there. As I said, book recommendations, always, I love getting a good book recommendation, and I love giving them as well. If you have the resources, actually sending somebody a book. When I first, we have a contact who actually, she helped us with moving this book process along. Her name is Cheryl. She lives in Las Vegas, and she had actually written a book about her divorce. And the moment I shared my news with her, she sent me a copy of her book in the mail, and didn't ask for it, didn't do anything. She just sent it to me. And so think about those things where you have something, or you connect on something that you can deliver value. Make note of things like people's birthdays and use that as a touch point. Connect people. The other thing, I know I saw Dr. Carol Soloway on here earlier. I don't know if she's still here, but we've talked a lot about being a connector and creating relationships between people. So it may not even be that the end game is to support me, but if I know that you're working on this and you're working on this, and the two of you can work together, well, go make that connection, be a connector. People love being connected to those that they need, right? So you don't even have to be a part of that, but you just have to make those introductions. When you spend time with people and engage in conversation, that's where you figure out what people really need. And when you figure out what somebody really needs, that's where you can then align with, well, this is how I'm going to help you. Sometimes a simple check-in can go a really long way. Sometimes people just need a, hey, how are you doing? I was thinking about you. And that's not value right in the moment after meeting somebody, but you never know. It could be, oh, you know what? I could use your help with something. And so keep that in mind. So we're gonna work tonight on getting out that pen and paper and start improving the value of your existing network. Because the other thing that I see a lot of people do is, we meet tonight, we all meet, we're going to get the share your ask results, because everyone's going to do the share your ask, and I'm going to send it out, and we're going to go connect on LinkedIn, and there might be one message, and then we forget and we don't follow up. And so one of the things we talk about is narrowing down your list of people who are valuable connections. And so I'm a big believer in quality quality over quantity. I would rather have 10 really powerful connections than 100 of non-powerful connections. But I want you to make a list of 5 people that are in your network, people that you already know, that you would like to go build a stronger professional connection with. And I'll start with that. Let me get this in the chat. So a list of 5 people that you know that you'd like to build a stronger professional connection with. And I'll give you a minute to write down those five names. All right, do we have our 5 names? So now I want you to write down 5 ways you could potentially offer value to those people. And it doesn't have to be sending somebody a book in the mail. I think that's a really strong example. And she'd written the book herself, so it made sense for her to send me the book. But think about 5 ways you could potentially add value to those people that you want to build a stronger connection with. And then there's a 3rd step here. I'll let you, I'm gonna wait a minute and then I'll share the 3rd step. All right, so after you have your 5 ways you could potentially offer value to the people on your list, tomorrow, find a way to take action on at least one value add for each of those people. So take some time tomorrow or sometime this week and go do your outreach. Go find ways to take action to start nurturing those relationships. So at the end of the day, this model is set up to deliver results, which is why we end with with results. And what does that mean? And how do we deliver and evaluate those results, Katie?
So I told you guys earlier that we aren't sugarcoating the message, and that's because we want you to walk away with real value. That means actionable steps that lead you to better results. It's important to assess your results so you can ensure you're investing your time in the places that make the most sense for you. When you evaluate your results, I want you to remember something. I might not be your favorite person as I share this. 9 times out of 10, if you are investing in networking and you're not getting the results that you want, it's you and not them. I know that that can feel like a tough thing to hear, but getting to the root of why it's not working is the fastest way to actually make it work. So I want to share some reasons with you that it might not be working. And we talk about all of these in the book. You're in the wrong rooms. So you aren't talking to the right people. You aren't consistent. You are asking for the wrong things. You aren't providing value to others. Your product or service isn't competitive. You have unrealistic expectations, or perhaps you're not building relationships. Those things don't mean you're failing. It simply means your effort needs some tweaking. So I want you guys to pick one room you spend time networking in. Write that room down so you can kind of keep that in the forefront of your mind. And I'm going to give you some questions that I want you to answer related to that room. Are the people I want to connect with in that room? Can I add value to the people in the room? Have I clearly communicated to people how they can support me? Am I genuinely invested in showing up in this space? Do I know how people are receiving me and my messaging? When you think about that first slide that we went through and thinking about the 3 to 5 words you would use to describe yourself, but we asked you, does that align to how others are receiving you? A lot of times people don't even know what they think they're putting out into a room is not how they're being received. And so that is one of the things we see trip people up. So I know Megan put those questions in the chat. You guys can copy those down. But spend time thinking about those questions to determine if you're investing your time in the right space. And if you're in the right space, are you actually taking the right actions?
I'm going to pause for a moment so that you can take note of those questions. They are in the chat, and we'll send them out after we're recording, so we'll send out a recap with all of the questions from tonight as well. While I'm pausing here, I'm going to put the Share Your Ask link in the chat again. If you weren't on at the very beginning when we introduced the Share Your Ask, so we use the Share Your Ask to collect all your contact information and share it with those that are in the room tonight. So it's kind of your connection to connecting on LinkedIn and creating follow-up and opportunity. And if you're mindful about what we talked about with the power networking, and then tie that into what you provide in your Share Your Ask, and then how you take those Share Your Ask results and use them to go start connecting and building relationships, there's some powerful things that can happen. So the Share Your Ask is in the chat. I know that we have some guests tonight that are not members of IAW. So I'm putting a link in the chat for a membership trial. So this link will get you a 2-week membership trial if you're interested in learning more about what's inside the IAW community. There's a lot of our local chapter leaders are on tonight. I know I see a lot of members here, but I also see a lot of guests here. So I wanted to invite you all to try it out. If you're curious, you want to see what's on the inside, you can use that free trial link. All right. So we're going to wrap up here. As Katie, I think, mentioned this, we share a lot of hard truths in the book, and Katie's really good at sharing hard truths. Katie's really good at not sugarcoating things and saying the things that can be really hard to hear, but the things that we need to hear. So Henry Ford said, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. And if you're not seeing the results or outcomes you desire, take time to assess your power and determine where you can make some changes. We're really excited about the book and the opportunities it can create for women. But we've also decided that it would be a good idea to take it to the next level with a masterclass. I know I saw a lot of comments here about people that just don't know where to start, or are super uncomfortable, or don't know how to find the opportunities. So Katie and I show up in this community because we're passionate about lifting up women and seeing women succeed. We will always continue to create resources and opportunities that help women. And we're really excited about what's to come in 2023. Now, we know that I think the pandemic showed us, right? There's no way to be prepared for everything that might be thrown our way. We never know what's coming. But we are committed to helping with whatever's coming our way in 2023. We have developed a masterclass. It's going to launch on February 1st. It will be 5 modules plus a workbook, plus you also get a copy of the ebook. So you'll get our book in digital copy, because we just published this today. And this will help you navigate this power model more strategically. If you sign up tonight, I think through December 10th, it's $79 for the masterclass. It's a self-paced program that you can work through at your own pace. It'll help you get back to all those in-person networking events, and it'll help you get the results that you desire. So it'll help you tap into, what are my goals? How do I provide value? What value do I need? Am I spending the right time in the right places? With that, I'm going to pop a link. Look at that. Somebody asked, how do we sign up? I have a link for you. So I'm going to pop a link in the chat. There's a link in the chat if you're interested in checking out that masterclass. So the next portion of our evening, we're going to go into breakout rooms and actually do some networking. And that will be guided. I have questions to help flow through that. But before we do that, if you have questions about how we're networking, the book, the model, the masterclass, we have a couple of minutes. So I'm going to leave it open. I'm going to leave it open for some questions. Camilla, will you get the ebook immediately upon signing up? So yes, but if you sign up tonight, you will not, because I don't have it linked up. We don't have it completely linked on the back end yet, but you will get the book within the next couple of days. The technology needs to be connected on the back end. But Camilla, if you sign up for the masterclass, we will make sure you get the book within the next day or two, the virtual download copy. We have a question here. Is anyone here from New York? Is anyone on from the New York City chapter? I know we have a lot of people on. If not, we can connect you. If you're interested in connecting with the New York City chapter, we'll certainly take your information and make those connections. All right, so yes, so Carol, logging in from Trinidad. Oh, that's amazing. Candace is on from New York. So who was looking for New York? Candace is part of our local chapter team in New York. If you connect with Candace, she can hook you up in New York. Katie has shared the acronym. So POWER is purpose, opportunity, worth, engage, results. All right. And if you missed, we are recording, so you'll get the full recap and you can go back and listen to the whole thing. Any other questions? All right. Well, I want to thank those of you who joined in tonight. I want to send a very special thanks to Katie, because I love working alongside Katie. We have a lot of fun. But we also, like, she helped this dream come true, right? She's the one who helped push me to write a book, and it was a lot of fun. And I think that the idea of helping more women get comfortable with networking and show up in spaces where we can walk away with productive results, like, how cool is that, right? Candace says we're a perfect pair. You know, it's funny. My sister's name is Katie, and I forever grew up with like Megan, Katie, Katie, Megan, Megan, Katie. And it's like, I found myself right back into this Katie, Megan, like, so I just can't get rid of it. But it's, we have a lot of fun together, but we also do a lot of really great things together. So if there's no more questions, also, I'll just put a note out there. If you have questions after tonight, you can always reach out to us with questions. I'm going to put member services email in the chat. That is the best way to reach out. If they can't answer the question, they come to us to get the answer, but they're the most efficient in turning around responses. And that goes for questions about membership, about masterclass, about benefits, about everything. Okay, so